Hey everyone, this is Faisal, certified high performance coach and a lifelong student of philosophy, spirituality, and sciences. Today is challenge day 14, and today's topic is positive thinking, my favorite topic. Before I get into the topic and questions, I want to take the time to honor and thank all those who have been participating in these discussions, who have been posting their answers, who have liked and shared the posts so we can get more people to join in and help us gain a greater understanding of our life, of our environment, of ourselves. And once again, thank you very much, and make sure you you share this post or video, make sure you like it, and make sure you encourage more people to come and join us. So today's topic is positive thinking, and I have 3 questions for you, and one of the questions has 2 parts. So the first question: what are you happy and or grateful about in your life right now? Something that you're really happy and grateful about, and not just something that you feel like you should be grateful about, something that you feel something that you feel really happy about, really grateful and blessed about. And the second question: how present are you in your life with yourself and with others? Remember, we talked about presence, what do you do to increase your level of presence, or how do you become more present? And the third one: what do you look forward to in your life on a daily basis and in the future? Or what are you excited about in your life on a daily basis and in the future? Okay, so go ahead and post your answers, and here's my take on this. Positive thinking. When we think about positive thinking, the past decade or so, there has been a revival of positive thought, spirituality, and there has been a revival of sorry, that's my cat. There has been a revival of new ideas, but many people think of these ideas when we think about positive psychology and spirituality as new, but they're actually ideas that have been around for thousands of years. They were part of religion, spirituality, but now they're coming around with evidence. They're coming around in neuroscience, they're coming in biology, epigenetics, they're coming in even in physics, the way we understand our world, in environmental science, and early childhood development. So we're relearning a lot of the things that we knew. We tried a few things in the middle for the past couple of 100 years, the rise of the industrial age, but they didn't work out too well. Well, it did, but we learned some new things, or we learned some things not to do. So anyway, when we think about positive thinking, what is positive thinking? And there's a little bit of a misconception when it comes to positive thinking in the positive thinking community, because many, when they think about positive thinking, they go into this mindset that I need to be scared of the negative thoughts that I have. I need to run away from those thoughts like the Black Plague. But that's not really the reality, and that's not even positive thinking. A couple of decades back, I was actually listening to one of the tapes from Tony Robbins' lectures or seminars, and he would call this intelligent thinking, or practical thinking in some ways, or human intelligence. But the words keep changing, but the idea is all the same. So positive thinking, in a sense, brings one of the most important concepts of spirituality, and that's presence. One of the main parts of it is being present. Why? Because when we're present in the now, we're able to be grateful for the things around us. We're able to notice things that are great around us, that are good around us, things that we have, things that the way we are, the way our relationships are, the experiences that we go through. When we're present, when we're in the now, in this moment, there's very little that's wrong. Even if there are challenges, we can deal with them. There are solutions that you can apply in the present. And much of positive thinking takes us back to that whole spiritual idea that the more present we are with ourselves and with others, the less challenging life seems, and the more joyful we are. And we talked about this in presence, in the topic that we talked about, and we brought up a few ideas there, and you guys talked about a few ideas that were really great. So what's another aspect of positive thinking? We know that when we're present, we think about the things that we're blessed with, but then a lot of times our mind goes to the past. So then how do we look at the past? We look at the past mainly by noticing the things that brought us the experiences now, that got us to this point. So even if the experiences were challenging, that were hard, they taught us something. Those experiences taught us something. That's why we're here in this moment. And when we think about the future, and the positive thinking mentality is, what do we look forward to in the future? Whether that be throughout the day, whether that be in the near future, or that be an experience we're looking forward to, such as, I don't know, a family camping trip that I look forward to this year. Or for some that might be, I don't know, getting married, or for others might be looking forward to a job, or for others looking forward to creating a business, or whatever it is. When we think about the past and future and the present, we have this framework that we need to look at through. And that framework is that we need to understand that there are a lot of things that we need to be grateful about. And they're not obligations that, oh, you need to be grateful about them. They're feelings from the past. How grateful are we when we spend time with our family? And we were so joyful and so happy. How grateful are we when we went through those challenges that taught us so much? How grateful are we when we went through an experience that transformed our mentality, our idea of life? And then when we are in the present, we're in the moment of experience, in the moment where we can live life. And isn't that what really life is? You're here to experience life. You're here to experience the sights, the sounds, all the senses that we have. You're here to experience love. You're here to experience, even in many cases, pain. You're here to experience sadness, joy, anger. All those are part of our experiences. But when we're present with them, then we experience them fully, regardless of the labels that we put on them. So many people put labels on pain being suffering, but if we go deeper, pain is not really suffering. We'll go into that. But again, when we're thinking about the future, we need to train our mind to see what's exciting that's coming in that day. When you wake up every day, what do you look forward to? Do you look forward to meeting a friend? Do you look forward to doing something that you love? Do you look forward to eating a great meal? Do you look forward to exercising? Do you look forward to spending time with your family or with your friends? So this is the framework, basically, in a nutshell, for positive thinking. So here's the problem. Here's the challenge with positive thinking. Many people think that when they go into positive thinking, they should be afraid of their so-called negative thoughts. But there are no such thing as negative thoughts and emotions. We talked about this before. When we think of the human experience, when we think about our experience in terms of our emotional range, we have a range in our emotion. It goes from joy, pleasure, happiness, peace, tranquility, connection, all those so-called positive experiences, and then we slowly go towards sadness, anger, fear, depression, all the other side of the spectrum. But technically, they're all part of our experience. Now, the problem is not with emotions. The problem is with our attention towards these emotions or thoughts. So what do I mean by that? Okay, this is cool, because when we think about how we experience life, when we think about actually the biology of how life is, how our body is designed. I talked a little bit about the biology of belief last time. So I talked about the fight and flight mechanism. So there are two states that we're in, even when you think about it from an evolutionary biology perspective, that species, even when you think about species, whether that be animals or humans, we're either in a state of survival or we're in a state of growth, or we're either surviving or we're thriving. Okay, now this is where it gets interesting, because the emotions or the feelings that we have of happiness, joy, peace, and connection, and all the rest of them, they are emotions that are life-supporting emotions. So what does that mean? That means that if we are generally in that frame of mind or in that emotional state, we're growing. Because our body is taking in the energy and it's healing our bones, our tissues, and it's allowing us to experience, we have a greater amount of energy because there's not too much energy wasted in trying to survive or trying to protect ourselves. So we're in that growth state. And then when you look at the other side of the spectrum, when you're sad, when you're angry, when you're fearful, you're in that survival mode. Now, the difference between the two modes is that the first state, the state of growth that we're in, that's actually meant to be the generally normal state of being for most animals, or if maybe even plants, because generally we are growing consistently, whether that be physically, mentally, or emotionally. But there is another state, that's a survival state, and that's a necessary step, because what would happen if we didn't have that fear mechanism or emotional mechanism that would let us know that there's danger, and that your hindbrain is in charge of that. So let's say if a bus is coming towards you, you don't have the time to think, oh, I need to get out of the bus. Do I need to get out of the bus, the way of the bus? Do I need to do this? These are conscious thoughts which you don't have time to think at that time. So your hindbrain or your subconscious mind takes over and just gets you out of the way of the bus. So your life is safe. Same with if you're in the wild. If an animal comes near you, that fight or flight mechanism takes over and you respond very quickly. But again, that state is a very temporary state. We muster up a lot of energy to help us survive. But then when the danger goes away, then we go back to the growth state. So this is how we know that we need to be in a positive framework. And we need to be in a positive frame of mind. So that explains that our so-called negative emotions are not really negative, but it's our attention so much on them. So most people, what they do is that they focus so much on those, on their sadness, on their anger, on their fears, that they completely forget about their growth mindset. They completely forget about the blessings in their life. They completely forget about the good things in their life. They forget about the things that they learn. And when that happens, we move into that survival state consistently, and we're not meant to be in that state longer than a short period of time. And you can imagine if we stay longer, just our biology starts to break down, not to mention our psychology, the negative effect on our mind, the negative effect on our emotions, and all these are interconnected. So when we are consistently in that state, it creates problems for us. Now, so then how do we deal with this? And this is a cool part. In the past decade, like I said, the positive psychology movement, the spirituality movement has brought in a new wave of teachers, and I consider myself one of them now, but new wave of teachers and trainers and coaches that are teaching people, psychologists, philosophers, that are teaching people that, okay, if you focus on the good things in your life, if you focus on the things that make your life better, and you make it a practice, you create a habit out of it. And we talked about the subconscious mind, that our subconscious mind works with habits. So I gave you the example last time about the key. If you take a key, put it on top of a counter every day that you come in, you force yourself to do that every day, you're conditioning your mind to do that action in the future automatically. So when you do this, let's say for a month or two, after that, without you even thinking about it consciously, you're going to put that key on the counter. Our thoughts and emotions are exactly the same way. When we think negative thoughts, and we're always thinking negative thoughts, it's very easy for our brain or mind or our subconscious mind to keep repeating those things. And we think that that's our normal state. That's only normal because you've mostly been doing that since childhood, even maybe, and you haven't trained your mind to be any other way. So in the beginning, the training is difficult. The conditioning is difficult. Just like when an athlete tries to condition himself or herself for a game or for an event, it's when they start out, it's very difficult. But as they go into the conditioning period for a whole season, at the end of it, they're so good at being the way they are. They're so fit and they're so vibrant with their energy, with their mechanisms, with what they do, that they don't have to think about it, force themselves to do it. They don't have to force their body to do it. It's subconscious. They've conditioned themselves. In the same way you can condition your brain and your mind. And when we think about this in terms of our neurons in our brain, when we do something over and over, what happens is that our neurons get thicker and thicker. They get stronger and stronger every time we repeat the same thing over and over. And when you think about kids, how do kids learn? They do the same thing over and over. How do they learn to walk? They fall like 100 times, 1,000 times, but they keep walking, trying to walk, and that's how they learn. And basically, the neurons that are related to walking, that they get more input, they get more of that experience. Then every time they do it over and over, that pathway gets stronger and stronger, and the speed of impulses in your brain, they get faster and faster, so you're able to do that. Now imagine if that child didn't try after the 10th or 20th time to walk. He or she wouldn't be able to walk. And that's built into us. But what we do is when we try things a couple of times or 10 times or 20 times, then we give up. We're like, oh, we can't do this. You can't do this now, but if you keep trying, that's within your biology. You'll be able to do it. And this goes with many things in our life, with our thoughts, with how we look at life. We have to condition our mind to look at things that bring us growth, that thrives our life, that bring us energy, that bring us connection, that bring us love. And we have to train our mind to pay attention to those things. So how does negative thinking or all those childhood experiences that I talked about fit into this? Now, from my experience, from practicing this stuff and from teaching others this stuff and from coaching people through these things, I realized that we can't reject the negative aspects of us. And I talked about the thinker and observant, and I urge you to go look at the emotions topic that we talked about, where once you become the observer of your thoughts and emotions, they stop being so negative. Even though for many they might be negative, but when you think of it from that frame of mind, it's like being there for a friend. If a friend is upset, he or she comes to you, you will, if you're a good friend and you're a wise friend, you will sit there and listen to that person, because most people just want to be heard. And once they go through that sadness or that emotion or that anger that they were going through, then you offer something positive, whether that be an experience together or watching comedy or going out somewhere. Whatever the case is, that's a natural process where we listen to a friend who's sad for a while until they get over it, and then we add something positive. Same with our thoughts. When I talk about the observer and thinker, the whole process is that we listen to our thoughts just like we would listen to a friend. We're an observer, but a non-judgmental observer. We're not attached to where the thoughts go. We're not afraid of where the thoughts go. We just listen to it until it tells us what it wants to tell us, whether that be pain, whether that be emotional pain, physical pain, or whether that be a negative thought. And when you become the observer, the energy subsides. After a while, your thoughts become the negative thoughts kind of subside, and then that's when you replace it with positive thoughts. And that's where a lot of people who do affirmations, where they say things that are positive consistently, they kind of do it wrong, because they do it right when they get the negative thought, so they try to replace that thought, but then that negative thought keeps coming back, because they don't allow the energy to subside. They don't allow the energy to move through them, because that energy has to go somewhere. And then when you allow it as an observer, then you replace it with something positive. Like if you went through a bad experience with somebody, then after you allowed yourself to be upset for a little bit, and however long that takes for you. In the beginning, it might take you a long time, but over time, it'll get less and less. So when you go through that experience of allowing yourself to be upset, then you ask yourself, what did I learn from that situation? How did that make my experience better here on earth? Or how does that make me a better person? Or what else do I have in my life that's great? And basically that adds a new dimension to your thoughts. And this will be difficult at first. Once again, like I said, our mind needs to be conditioned to think a certain way. And we give up too soon. So make it a practice daily. So I'll give you one thing that I try, this is a really cool tip, because it will give you a head start every day. Come up with 5 questions that positively direct your thoughts. So 3 to 5 questions. And I have 3 questions for myself that I ask every day, almost every day. Sometimes I just automatically ask myself, but most of the time I sit down and consciously ask myself this and allow the answers to come out from me. So the first question that I ask myself is, what am I grateful for today and in general? And allow the answer to come to me. The second question is for myself, what do I love to do? And the third question is, what do I look forward to today and in general? So all these 3 questions creates a positive framework for my mind, and I'm training it on a daily basis. And the video that I did on clarity, I talked about the 3 words that you need to repeat to yourself. I'll go briefly into that. Come up with 3 words that define your highest self, and remind yourself 2, 3, 4 times a day. You can even set it as an alarm. If you want the details, go and watch the video that I did on clarity. What is clarity? And that exercise reminds me, who do I want to be? What's my highest self consistently? So that gives me another frame of mind. And there are so many frameworks that I work with, and you can create them too, where you either ask yourself questions or remind yourself of things. But always know that you don't need to reject your negative aspects to be positive. You can be there with it as well. And what you will realize over time, that the more you're present with yourself, the more you become that observer and thinker, or that observer of your thinking mind or your ego, the less those negative thoughts will pop up. I'm not saying that they will completely disappear. They haven't disappeared for me, but it gets so much easier. And I can tell you that from experience, and I can tell you also from when I've taught others to follow these exercises. Again, it's a matter of practice. And what I've noticed generally is that let's do the 20-80 rule, that 80% of the time you're completely focused on your positive. And the 20% of the time, give yourself time to digest those so-called negative emotions and thoughts. So you allow them to surface, you allow them to be dealt with your presence, with your observing self. So I know I went on for a long time. It's one of my favorite subjects, and I wanted to cover at least the basics of them. So I want to hear from you now. I had 3 questions. Let me see if I remember it. Okay, the first question: what are you happy and really grateful for, or really feel like you're grateful for in your life? And the second question is, how present are you with yourself and with others? And what do you do to be more present in your life? And the third question is, what do you look forward to, or what are you excited about in your life right now and in the near future, or in the future? So go ahead and answer those questions. Make sure you like and share the post so we can get more people involved. Thank you very much for watching this video, and have a great day. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 7 a.m. Bye. Thank you. If you loved or even liked the video or this episode, you can do two things right now. One, you can click on the subscribe tab right here on the screen or in the info area if you can't click on the screen. So you're up to date on all my free training, on all the free training that I send on my YouTube channel on a regular basis. And two, you can click on the success indicator tab on the screen or in the info section, so you can get the training, the thorough training that I created for you, that has 10 factors that will determine whether or not you will be successful at anything that you do or want to do. And it will also help you create more success at anything that you want to do in life. So, and this will also get you subscribed to my newsletter, so I can send you more of these free training on a regular basis that I don't post on my YouTube channel. So make sure you click on those two buttons or tabs, and make sure you like and share this video. Make sure you post your comments in the comment section below so we can get more people involved in our community right here. Thank you very much. Have a great day.